and your staff for taking the time out of your day today to meet with us. We come from different backgrounds and different states, but we all came together today to bring upon you some very pressing issues within the South.
Hold on, what was your name again?
Nina Liu from Austin, Texas,
Nice to
and
meet
the
you,
rest of them will introduce themselves to you as well. So we're here to advocate certain issues regarding education as part of the South, as related to Southeastern Asians. And so that brings me to my next point, which is why we're here today.
Hi, Danya and I will be talking about our experiences in New Orleans public schools, and we are here to share about our personal stories.
What school do you go to?
I'm a graduate from McMain Secondary School.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. We're here to talk about the language access, the segregation data, and the community-based organization. With the language access, a lot of stuff that comes home to our parents aren't in our native language. So students and parents have a hard time getting involved with the schools. With the ESL, every student...
What does the ESL stand for?
English as a second language.
Okay.
With ESL, a lot of new students or transfer students get tested to see if they need it or not. I myself was tested because I was a new student. I passed with flying colors, but they recommended me to take the class.
Why did they recommend you to take the class?
Yes.
Wait.
I passed with flying colors, but they recommended me to take the
Why
class.
did they do that?
I guess they wanted students to be in there, or they just needed students to be in there, so I'm not sure.
That's weird.
And see, with situations like that, there's no clear transparency of the reason why. There's no clear communication between the school and the parents on why that what she was recommended for that.
Yes, and they brought a letter home telling my parents I was recommended. I told my mom I'm taking honors class, so it's not necessary, so she signed no. And then with, again, with the language access, a friend of mine who goes to Averson High, which is in the east, in your district, she has been put out of class multiple times to translate for parents and students because she's fluent in both English and Vietnamese.
Wait, who has to translate?
Another student has to translate for a student and their parents for a teacher. I'm with Donnie.
To piggyback off of what Anna was saying, because of the language access issue, it causes a lot of tension between the students and the schools, and they tend to isolate themselves from the rest of the school. The Vietnamese students tend to isolate themselves from other ethnicities in the school. And I've noticed in my school, the school I graduated from, Sarah T. Reed, there was 4 tables just for Vietnamese students. They isolated themselves in the middle of the room and were surrounded by students from other ethnicities. And it causes tension. It brings up a lot of emotional problems.
But isn't it their fault that they're kind of isolating themselves?
It's not their fault, it's their choice, but it's not their fault that they're being isolated. It's just that they're scared to interact with other kids. And it brings up a lot of racial slurs, a lot of rude comments. And I know one of my friends, Bao, he dropped out because of what he had to deal with while he was in school. He classified a lot of the other ethnicity students as ignorant, and he dropped out. He's working to support his family, and
Why isn't that person's parents intervening?
Because they don't speak a whole lot of English, and they didn't really know what he was doing.
So why can't they get somebody who does speak?
See, that's the issue with the issue with communicating between the school and family. There's no communication as far as having interpreters provided, being able to talk to parents and tell them, address the concern. As you can see, the parents, it's not mentioned that the parents actually came to the school or whatnot. So it's all hidden information that could have been resolved. Because if he were to continue with school, he would be graduating at this time too. This could have been avoided.
Could have been avoided if they had interpreters, that was saying?
Right. If they had people that can actually
So
interact.
what language? I mean, is it possible to translate everything, right? I mean, ideally, if we had all the money in the world, I would love to have translators for every language, right? And have everyone feel welcome, but I mean, the reality is that the state's going through a lot of budget cuts right now, and the school districts have to lay off teachers. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you in that sense. I can't imagine. Do you want every language to be translated, or?
We would probably like as much as possible. We'll later give you a handout on statistics on which ethnicities specifically don't speak English very much. For example, Hmong, as according to the 2009 ACS report, only 9% of them speak English well. And so that would be a priority, for example, and Vietnamese is also down there. We will focus on those, definitely. And part of the reason why the parents aren't able to get translators is, one, they might not be able to afford it, and two, we feel that the government should somewhat step in a little bit and help out with the community. It shouldn't be the parents' responsibility to get a translator at all times. We sometimes feel the school board is somewhat in charge of, should be more held accountable for helping with that sort of situation.
Okay. So are you guys talking with the school board? Because we're actually with the state, so.
I think both should work together, along with us.
Well, that's why we're here, to ask for your support in trying to bring in some linguistically specific teachers and counselors that can help aid students that do need the support. For example, with Anna's example of her friend having to come out and translate for a family member.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I actually have to get going to another meeting. So I don't know if you guys have anything to wrap up with, or I don't mean to interrupt you like that, but I gotta get it going.
Yeah, basically, there are just three facts that we want to, well, three things that we want to ask for your support with. One is bringing in linguistically specific teachers and counselors. The other is to bring in, we'll have the aggregated data, and the last is community-based organizations.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. We'll definitely take it into consideration.
Thank you.
Okay.